Hello, my name is Paul Brooks, and I'm a publicist and journalist based in Calgary, Alberta. I'm a friend of Bass Coast Festivals, and they've invited me to interview some artists performing at this year's event, which is coming up very quick, July 8th to 11th, 2022. Today, I'm speaking with the 2022 Juno Award winner for Contemporary Indigenous Artist of the Year, DJ Shub. His latest album, War Club, was released to critical acclaim and features collaborations with artists like Snotty Nose Rez Kids, Boogat, and Fawn Wood. Considered to be the godfather of PowWowStep, DJ Shub is a pioneer in a growing genre of electronic music. Hey, DJ Shub.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for that intro. It's always nice to hear. Always nice to hear back from people. How's it going?
I am doing really well, and I'm happy to speak with you today. Can you tell me where I'm reaching you right now? Where are you?
I'm at home in Fort Erie, Ontario, Southern Ontario.
Nice. And are you in your studio right now?
Yeah. I'm always, coming up. I got a pretty crazy touring schedule right now, so I'm just, getting things finished and finalizing some stuff for the road and making sure I have all the music I need when I'm out there. I really, my home studio is where I do all the magic. So I'm just kind of working my way into getting a portable studio so I can, work on some stuff on the road. But for now, everything's home based. So I'm just preparing for the long haul.
I'm putting you on the spot right now, but roughly how many performances do you have coming up in the summer months here?
I think we're around 22 so far. So 22 that, and a good handful of them are big festivals. So it's going to be, I can't wait to get out there. It's been a long time coming.
Congratulations on your 2022 Juno Award win for Contemporary Indigenous Artist of the Year. Now that you've had a bit of time to let that settle in, I'm wondering what it means to you to be the winner of this brand new category at the Juno Awards.
It's cool. It's still setting in. I think the fact that I haven't got my award yet, I think that I don't remember last time I won a Juno, it took a while for it to get into my hands. So I think once it does finally reach me and it gets into my hands, it'll kind of, I'll realize what just happened then, so, but I think the more important thing is that it meant a lot, not only for me, but I think it meant more for the Indigenous community and specifically for the youth and specifically for Indigenous artists out there. You know what I mean? Like it's very rare. Do you see on platforms like this, do you see Indigenous artists represented well? And I think Juno's did a fantastic job this year at doing so and doing that. And like I said, even with not only just the award, but I think the performance too on the broadcast, the televised performance that played, that's so important. I think, especially for Indigenous youth to see that, we can do it, like we're able to get that spotlight, we're able to do things in the mainstream as an artist, get our music out into the mainstream and have people see us as artists and how beautiful all this culture could be.
I think it's really, interesting to, be called a contemporary artist. I guess in my mind, when I think about Indigenous music, I think there are stereotypes about this music existing in the past, or it being, something that happened a long time ago. So to have the acknowledgement that you are working today in a contemporary context with contemporary influences and speaking to a contemporary audience is a neat way to frame the music and the art.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, like you said, showing that traditional side. And I think that's, I say this a lot, with a lot of music, you don't really hear that traditional aspect of contemporary music, of traditional music. You don't really hear it too often in mainstream in music, or in any kind of music. And I think that's what really hits home with a lot of people, is that there is this underlying culture that you hear when you hear PowWowStep music, you know, and people don't realize that this is the music of of Canada, of Turtle Island. You know, this is music that has been here far longer than any genre of music, you know. So bringing that back and mixing it with electronic music, you know, and having people take it in and really, I love seeing that look on people's faces, like, what is this music, you know, and like, but they love it for some reason. You know what I mean? It's just like they feel it just the way I felt it when I first heard it for the first time, you know. So, and that's what I enjoy the most, I think, when I'm playing live.
Well, this new music that you're going to be sharing with people, I guess it will be, you know, it'll be new to a lot of people in this live context, is music from your album War Club. I'm wondering if you can tell me about the album and how it came to be. When did you start working on the record and the music that would become War Club?
The record was probably at about 2.5 years. I started on the tracks probably about, I would say, 3 or 4 months before the pandemic hit, and we all got had to stay in. So it's been, and that's why I kind of give the pandemic sort of a pro and con, right? Like, there's some pros and cons about it. Is that I got so much time to work on this album, dedicated time, right? Being at home and stuff like that, not touring and not playing anywhere, that I did have all this time to work on the album. And me being home with my family, you know, this whole album turned into a family affair, you know, like I have all my family on it, you know, like my daughter introduces the album, my son, he's on the interlude and talks about the War Club. And then my wife, she's actually on a song, Back to the Land. So, I mean, so everybody's on this album, and it's kind of just a look into what it was like during the pandemic for me, and then trying to build a story out of that, you know. And I think what happened was that the story of a war club, representing the traditional side of things, you know, and so for my music, you know, a lot of the times I tell people music is my medicine, music is my everything. It gets me through hard times, it gets me through those good times. And I think music is my sort of war club. So for people who don't know what war clubs are, traditionally there were weapons, you know, there were weapons used by warriors. And so what I'm trying to do is trying to represent that war club in today's society, not so much using it for a violent way, but representing it as music. You know, like going into places, festivals, and just like tearing the place apart with my music, you know, like a war club would, sort of thing. So that really was the basis of the whole War Club concept. And then once we started building songs, and once I started making these tracks, you know, I put together sort of like a bucket list of like really good friends and amazing MCs that I knew would love to you know, spit something on it. So once I started working with a lot of the artists, and I kind of gave them a short paragraph of what the War Club, what I kind of wanted it to be about. It totally took on a whole new form once all the MCs started writing their lyrics to it, and it just became this amazing story that actually had, you know, a nice, awesome story behind it. And that's what it is. It's like, traditionally MCs are storytellers, right? So it's awesome that they are a part of this whole War Club movement, right? So me being a producer is a callback to the drummers, of traditional drummers making those beats, right? And then having the MCs on it is a callback to having those storytellers to tell those stories, whether it's traditional stories or stories that make sense today, you know, like. And what we try to do is just continue that culture is my basic plot line through the whole thing, is continuing your culture throughout the music.
The album, pardon me, the album War Club explores settler colonialism and contemplates, as you mentioned, solidarity between Indigenous and Black liberation movements. I've heard people say, leave politics out of music, but you really seem to lean into this. And I'm wondering if you feel a tension as an artist when you're trying to balance the fun and entertaining aspects of music with it also communicating messages and being a vehicle for important social change and things that are important to you.
Yeah, I think like the music is what's most important for me to begin with, first and foremost, right? Like, I think there, you know, there's definitely a way to do both. And for me, it's if I'm able to, and I have the advantage of having this big platform to showcase things, and I have the choice whether or not to be, to have a political message and things. But I remember this saying from an old friend is that, just being alive as an Indigenous person is a political statement in itself. Being here, being able to play festivals, being Indigenous and playing Indigenous music, and having it to share with these people, that's a political statement in itself. Whether or not there's a message behind it, I think that holds bar. So I think, yeah, I mean, it being such a political album, I think was not my intention. Like I said, my intention is the music. I think what it does do is it lets you decide for yourself. It lets you decide what is your traditional thing that you keep continuing throughout this era. Like what is it? What's that traditional thing that you hold on to, that helps you out in today's world? And I think that's what the whole message is, like outside of the fact of being political.
I watched a really interesting live version of War Club that you made in collaboration or with the help of CBC Music. And so for anyone who hasn't seen it, I recommend that you go check it out. But DJ Shub, can you kind of describe the concept of the visual album and how it was brought to life?
So the visual album actually just kind of explains a story of how a war club, what war club means to this girl who's in this who's portrayed in this video and who loses her brother. So, in the movie, she finds that the war club is music, right? She finds the connection between the war club and the music, which helps her cope with what's happening. So it's basically a timeline. It's not a timeline, but it's a way of telling how important a war club can be and what kind of situation you're in and how a war club, what you can use and how it can relate to you somehow and how it can help, how it can be your medicine. Like the war club for her was, she related it to music, and so she held on to it and music was what helped her cope with losing her brother. So that's the story for that video that we did for that. But like I said before, it's what you take from it. Like it's what the album asks you is like, what is your war club? Like what is something that represents you that helps you get through things like that? And for a lot of people, it's music, and for some other people, it might be something that symbolizes music.
The video looked to me like it was a lot of fun to make. Where was it shot? It had kind of like this otherworldly quality because there were like, some flashing lights and haze, which reminded me of the club. But then obviously a lot of traditional Indigenous elements woven in, and then your guest artists. What was like the vibe like bringing all of those components together?
It was cool. Like it was like we shot it in London, Ontario, and it was at the a big conservation area, and on this area that they have this huge plot of land, there's a traditional longhouse from and then it's the sort of longhouses that my people are from, and they have it like in pristine condition. It's very nice. So that kind of ties into where I'm from. But we had fun. Like it was that was the first and foremost thing. I was like, let's just have fun doing this and try to bring the vibe, of like, if you go to see me live, I really wanted to kind of show that as much as I could, so when you do come see me live, you are seeing visuals, you're seeing live performances, and most of all, you're seeing dancers in traditional regalia, doing traditional dancing and doing contemporary stuff, so it symbolizes exactly what my music's all about. And yeah, like I said, like you'll see in the video that there's like, we love to indigenize spaces that aren't normally used to being indigenized, right? And we had it set up with like lights and haze and fog, and like we kind of like made it look like how the album looks, like how PowWowStep is, a mixture of the traditional and the contemporary. So we kind of wanted to keep that in mind when we did it, and it turned out great.
DJ Shub, thank you for speaking with me today. You're about to head out on over 20 dates, many of them festivals. I'm looking forward to seeing you play at Bass Coast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. If there's one festival I am looking forward to, it is Bass Coast. Bass Coast. I've had my eye on this festival for so long, and I just cannot wait to show my thing there, man. Do my thing. It's awesome. It's great.